Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Go for Launch. Today, Mackenzie and I are joined by Dr. Francisco Marmolejo from the Qatar Foundation. Welcome, Francisco.
Thank you very much, Audi. Thank you, Mackenzie. It's a pleasure to participate in. I'm sure that it will be an interesting conversation.
Hi, nice to have you.
It's good to have you here today. We're really excited to get a little bit into your work at the Qatar Foundation and talk a little bit about the work that's going on in Education City and the advice that you have for young people starting off in STEM. So, to kick us off, would you be able to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do at the Qatar Foundation and your background and how you ended up in your current position?
Very good, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to share perspectives with your audience about the importance of education, higher education, and STEM education. Myself, I have been dedicated almost my entire life to education on a variety of domains. I'm originally from Mexico, working for a number of years in universities, both in Mexico as well as in the United States, about 16 years at University of Arizona. I was at University of Massachusetts as well. Then I joined the World Bank, where I had the privilege of serving as the global lead for higher education. At the bank also, I was in charge of higher education projects in more than 60 countries. And as part of that assignment, I lived and worked for 5 years in India. And then since 5 years ago, I was invited to join Qatar Foundation. And I have been here serving both as education advisor of the chairperson of the foundation, Sheikh Hamad Bin Nasser, but also as president of the higher education system at Qatar Foundation. So it has been quite an interesting journey in which I truly believe that, and it confirms, especially my work today at Qatar Foundation, that education is the key enabler of unlocking human potential, and that's what I'm dedicated to.
That's wonderful to hear, and it sounds like you've had a very exciting and fun path to where you are now. So, can
Absolutely.
you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now as at the foundation?
Of course. Let me tell you briefly because it's a very unique sort of organization. Qatar Foundation is, and we are going to be celebrating 30 years of Qatar Foundation. And it is a very unique organization. It's kind of a big tent, a big umbrella that brings together more than 50 different organizations, all of them working in the areas of education, research, and community development. Those three elements are fundamental for the work of Qatar Foundation. And in the education part of Qatar Foundation, we have about 22 educational institutions from kindergarten up to doctoral education. So the way we dissect the education component of Qatar Foundation is we refer to as pre-university education, which goes from kindergarten to high schools, and university, which is we refer to as higher education. So I'm in charge of the higher education division at Qatar Foundation. And probably you didn't know that, but at Qatar Foundation, we have the largest concentration of American universities outside of the United States. We have 6 universities from the US, 1 from France, and also we have our own university, Hamad Bin Khalifa University. In total, they offer more than 60 different academic programs to students of more than 100 countries. And my role at the Higher Education Division of Qatar Foundation is to foster as much as possible collaboration among those universities in order to make sure that the educational experience of our students is very unique, because we are fully committed not only to prepare good professionals coming from the best universities in the world, but more important, committed citizens of our societies, people which are sort of ready to become agents of change and also who are ready to demonstrate that we need to have those type of I might say citizens of the future in order to have a better world.
That sounds absolutely incredible. Speaking of the higher education, can you give us an overview of Education City in Doha? What was the vision behind it and how has it evolved?
Yes, absolutely. Education City is it's a large area in Doha. Is a city by itself. Just to give you an idea, is about, I might say, 12 times the size of Monaco, 12 square kilometers. That it has a number of, first of all, it has the universities. Each of the universities has its own facilities. We have also many of the schools that are, pre-university education. We have the Qatar National Library. Also, we have a huge, beautiful equine center because, the culture of horses is very important in the Arab world. The Qatar National Science and Technology Park, Sidra Medical Center. So it is a combination of different organizations, again, education, research, community development, all of them, under the motto of working towards unlocking the human potential. Our students, who are coming to study at our education hub in Qatar Foundation, live in the housing facility. So in some ways, it looks like a combination of universities. In fact, we refer to as a multiversity, a top-level facilities, because also the belief of Her Highness Sheikh Hamosa is that we should provide the most dignified space to students in order for them to strive. And that's what, again, we are working towards that. So you should make plans to visit us in Education City in Doha. I can tell you, in my long life, in the opportunity of visiting and seeing educational systems in many, many countries, I have not seen anything like Education City in Qatar.
That sounds incredible. I mean, majority of my experience in education is within the States. I am technically getting my master's degree from a university in Scotland right now, but it's also online, so I'm at home. Is there, what do you think would be the number one important difference between the educational systems you've seen elsewhere and Education City?
Well, I will use your example as a case in point, McKinsey. When you are a university student in the US, usually you are just in one university. If you want to take courses from any other university, it's a little bit of a complicated matter. You have to first of all, you have to pay extra. Secondly, you have to convince your teachers that whatever you are going to be taking in another university is as valuable as what you will be learning in your own university. So it makes extremely difficult for students to have flexibility on their educational experience. Here at Qatar Foundation, we have the great opportunity because our students can take courses from any of the other universities. And I'm talking about top-level universities. Each of the universities has an area of specialty. Let's say Carnegie Mellon University specializes in what is very good in the home campus in Pittsburgh, which is computer sciences, business, biology. Cornell University offers the medicine program. Texas A&M University offers engineering programs. Georgetown University offers diplomacy and international relations and economics. Northwestern University offers a journalism and communication sciences. Virginia Commonwealth University offers arts and design, kinetic imaging, etc. So think about students of today. What students of today want is to have the opportunity to experience as many as possible realms of knowledge. Many times because the knowledge, as you know very well, is going to be transitioning so fast. Nobody can predict as a professional what you are going to be doing. Probably you might be studying a discipline on an area that is going to be completely different to what you are going to be working tomorrow. So what we consciously do at Qatar Foundation, at Education City, is to immerse the students in this multiversity experience for students to be able to create in some way their own educational pathway, not only by taking courses from any of the other universities, but also by complementing that with internships in the research centers we have, or in the community-based organizations or centers that we have at Qatar Foundation, but also the possibility for them to do some study abroad, to learn another language, to have experiences also in companies and organizations outside. So all of that is what it makes of a student at Education City, truly having a journey as diverse as if you want, convoluted as possible, because that's what is going to be preparing her or him to the complexities of the world that she or he are going to be facing tomorrow. We believe, and I'm sure that you hear that many times, that we should be prepared to change professions in the future. Well, that's a reality. Professions, the shifting of individual, the capacity as a professional to adapt to different environments, to reinvent yourself, to use one here, activity there, an experience there, to continue learning for the rest of your life, to have the curiosity to continue learning for the rest of the life. That's what we make sure that it happens with our students here at Education City.
That sounds like a really unique type of system and a unique environment for these students. So
It is indeed.
let's say you are a student at what I like that you called it this multiversity. What would it be like for them to experience that life? What is student life like at Education City, and how does this type of campus environment help foster collaboration, innovation, and a sense of community among those students?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to put this in the context of what is Qatar. Qatar is a country which is cosmopolitan by nature. I don't know you knew that, but about 85% of the population in Qatar are people from all over the world. Only 15% of the population in the country are Qataris, are hosts. So by nature, the society in Qatar is it's a cosmopolitan. I go out of my home and I can see people from all over the world. At Education City, when we are in meetings of our staff, each of us come from a different country. And that is also reflected in the composition of our student cohorts in Education City. So students live in an environment in which they can experience the world just by having the opportunity to interact with students from any other part more than, as I mentioned before, more than 110 countries. That's one element of that. They live in places, again, in the housing facilities at Education City. Again, you find students from all over the world. We offer to the students also the opportunity to learn different languages. The teaching in our universities is in English, but of course we live in a country in which Arabic is the language, and we encourage students to learn different languages. And also, what we offer in Education City to our students is what you will find in other universities or in different parts of the world. Student life, student well-being, clubs, you name it. All of those activities which make of sports programs, cultural programs, etc. All of that what makes students to have the opportunity to have what we refer to as a holistic educational experience. And something we do is that we make sure that we provide a adequate certification, if you want, for the acquisition of those skills of the students. So we set up a program that we are going to be launching soon. We refer to as the Universal Skills Passport, which is aimed at complementing the diploma that students receive from the respective universities with the certification of additional skills that they can use as they are looking for job opportunities. Also, we are finalizing the plans for launching in September the Practice of Knowledge Lab, which is going to create a space for students in multidisciplinary perspective to come and address key problems, key challenges, both of the business and the community sectors. And they will tackle those problems in a multidisciplinary perspective, being mentored by experts from the corresponding sectors and faculty members, in which also we believe it is a great opportunity for students coming from different backgrounds, different academic programs, different perspectives to tackle problems from a multidisciplinary a point of view. Anyway, those are just a few of the examples of those very unique things that happen in what I see as a very vibrant community, not only in terms of academics, but also in terms of the sociocultural backgrounds of our students.
I feel like you've already answered every question I've had somehow. But I guess outside of all of the amazing things that Education City has, all of the appeal that I'm definitely feeling right now, are there any specific incentives for international students outside of what you've already talked about?
Yeah, well, we try at Qatar Foundation to be a place where you can study here regardless of your economic condition. So the Qatar Foundation has put together a very robust a program aimed at providing scholarships to the students that are admitted by the universities, because the universities are the ones, according to their criteria of admission, who decide if a student is accepted or not. It's a neat blind decision system, because it is the one that exists, again, in the United States, in the home campus of the university. And that what we do is that we complement that offering from the university with the possibility of either a scholarship, which is based on merit, or on merit and need, and also with the possibility, when needed, of a financial aid package, which is very generous. I will tell you why. Because students that opt to have a student loan, they have a 0% interest rate. And the loan is to be paid once you graduate based on the income that you're going to be generating in the future. It's an income contingency loan. So if you make a lot of money, that means that you will be able to return what it was given to you. And it is important for us to do that, because that's what is going to be supporting other students to receive the same benefit in the future. So there is a sense of solidarity of that. But again, in order to make it affordable, it is 0% interest rate, but also is income contingency a fund. But some of the students, for instance, may decide to work in Qatar as they graduate from our universities. And in most of the organizations that they can work, they can work in any place. And what we do is that by per year of that graduate to work in the country and receiving a salary in the country, like any other organization or company, we cancel 25% of the debt of that student. So that means that literally in 4 years, you are free debt if you want. And then, and also you can continue working in the country, or you may want to go to other countries. So we have now graduates of the universities of Qatar Foundation in, again, many countries. We just created, by the way, established a chapter of our alumni in the United States and Canada. So we have graduates all over the world, because they come from all over the world. So that's what we do in order to, again, make affordable education independently of your economic condition.
That sounds incredible. I should have gone through you guys instead of Sally Mae, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can tell you, I hear some stories which are really, really, unfortunate, I might say.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with your point of, if we're going to be fostering an environment where students feel empowered and supported in making the most of their educational experience, money should not be stopping them from that.
It is correct. And that has been the mandate and the vision that, Her Highness Sheikh Hamosa had since the creation of the foundation. We are, as I mentioned to you, we are celebrating 30 years of the foundation. She keeps, actively engaged as the chairperson of the foundation. Sheikha Hind serves as the CEO of the organization, and also she's fully committed to this very important mission of Qatar Foundation. as a way to, again, unlock human capital, human potential, not only in Qatar and in the region, but for that matter, internationally. So the mandate that we have is to make sure that Qatar Foundation serves as an education hub, making possible education to the ones who want to be part of this adventure of experiencing education in a much more, I might say, holistic way.
Yeah, and on that topic, something that we're starting to talk about now is this sort of forward thinking mentality and visions for the future and missions and all of that. So I want to just say that I think it's fair to say that the Middle East is really transforming its vision for the long-term future into reality, driving rapid advancements in science and technology. And we have things like Dubai's Science Park and the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center and its Mars 2117 mission, and the ambitious project The Line from Saudi Arabia, and then Oman's spaceport launch site at Black. And it sounds like the region is making significant strides in these areas. And we've talked about this a little bit, but what would you say is the Qatar Foundation's vision for the future, and how does this match up with this broader vision for the future that we're seeing from this part of the world?
No, I think it is. I think it is fully aligned with this idea that first of all, as you know very well, and the Middle East is one of the regions of the world that is not well known, and many times is known for things that are not the correct ones. There are a lot of bias stereotypes about this region of the world that it is just outstanding. I tell my friends in Mexico that I live in Qatar. Qatar, as you know, is the second safest country in the world. And my friends in Mexico tell me, be careful because you live in Qatar. And I said, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but the one who should be careful is you. And because, again, this is an amazing place. It's what is interesting of Qatar is that it is a very family-oriented country. It is a country in which there is this recognition of important values of the society, but also it is a country that is looking towards the future in a very proactive way. There is a national vision for the country that it was defined a number of years, is the Vision 2030. And just recently, it was revised in order to see, okay, from 2025 to 2030, what we are going to be doing in order to achieve the goals of 2030. And for each of the sectors in the society, there was this big analysis. I was lucky to be part of the review of the educational strategy, the national education strategy. And it is just amazing to see how it is a very clear understanding that in order to achieve all the ambitions of the country and the region, education is going to be key. And this is one of the reasons why I truly believe that the main contribution that Qatar makes to this ecosystem that we are talking about of innovation is precisely the educational angle. And that's where we truly believe that we make a unique difference. Of course, there is a lot of innovation, especially in areas such as artificial intelligence, and more important, one area that Qatar has developed significantly is in precision health. And in those two areas, artificial intelligence, precision health, but also a third one that has to do with issues related to sustainable development. Qatar is a country in which there is a significant scarcity of resources, especially, I might say, water. How to live in a society in which water is the most precious of our assets, if you want. How to do that in a responsible way, and how to prepare the society for the future. Think about this, for instance, in a country such as Qatar. The goal is for the year 2030 that about 60% of the vegetables that are consumed in the country should be produced in the country, in a country that is, again, in which water is not available. And also that energy is going to be about 30% of the energy is going to come from solar energy, even though Qatar is the country that has the second largest natural gas reserves in the world. So It is this idea about transitioning into the future by keeping the values of society, by keeping the good lessons learned of the history, and also by preparing those individuals that are going to be the ones that, again, have the good tools from a professional, technical standpoint, but also, again, the significant commitment to society and to the communities they are at. That's what I believe it is a key contribution of Qatar to this evolution that is experiencing, very fascinating evolution that is experiencing the region.
That's incredible. And speaking of these opportunities that are being created for students that are graduating from your institutions, what kind of opportunities exist for them within STEM fields, even in uh, your country or even the broader region? Are there any specific opportunities that you're kind of promising these students to have access to?
Yeah, well, it's something that we are very proud of is that in the STEM area and STEM and STEAM areas, I might say, we do a lot of work in making STEM as attractive, as feasible and viable, especially for female students. Just to give you an idea, at Texas A&M, the share of female students in STEM fields is much higher than in the home campus of Texas A&M University in College Station. About a little bit more than 55% of our students in STEM in the engineering programs at Texas A&M are female students, which is, again, we are very proud of that significant effort. So, and of course, that requires making sure that not only they have a degree, both female and male students, but also they have a job. And something that we look for constantly is about how effective are the universities in making sure that jobs will be available and that, of course, they will be taking those jobs. And that requires a lot of connection with the employer sector, especially in emerging areas. And also, of course, that requires making sure that students acquire the right experience in order to become, employable, I might say. The other element that we have is one thing to do with employment. The other one is that we know that many of our graduates, we want them not only to have a job, but also to create jobs. So just last year in the QF alumni office, which brings together alumni from all the universities. Each of the universities has its own alumni office, but also we have a central office that brings together all the students that were part of the Qatar Foundation Education City programs. And we launched the Qatar Foundation Alumni Fund, which is precisely created to provide support for those inventions, those innovations, those startups that graduates of our institutions, mostly on the STEM field, are working on in order to make sure that we accelerate their development in order to become, again, viable, productive organizations of the future. At the Qatar Science and Technology Park, there is an incubator of new ideas and companies. And also one of the clubs that we have at Qatar Foundation, which is one of the most popular ones, is the Entrepreneurship Club. So again, we keep constantly, for us, reminding us about the fact that we need to have graduates who will have a job, but also graduates who will create jobs. The region is very dynamic, and we see that many sectors, Audrey was referring to them in the region, that are requiring those type of professionals, and we are very proud of being good contributors of graduates for those programs that exist in the region, for those opportunities that exist in the region for technological development. Of course, there is too much to be done, and I'm not trying to describe to you a perfect world, a perfect ecosystem, because of course, like any other organization, we have shortcomings, we have limitations, but the most important is that we have the willingness to be innovative and to create things that are I'm hope that are going to be a good contribution to a better future.
That's really wonderful to hear. And It sounds like, for me, I know this is true. For Mackenzie, it sounds like it's also true. This is really the first we're learning about a system like what is in place at Education City. So let's say that's the case for a lot of our listeners, and now everybody wants to go to Education City. What advice would you have for a student who is starting off their educational career or their educational journey at Education City? And how can they make the most of the opportunities that exist in such a diverse and forward-thinking educational system?
There is a word in Arabic, marhaba, and marhaba means welcome. And every year when we have our marhaba event, it is precisely an event that we organized in order to make aware our new students about the very unique journey that they are just starting and about the many opportunities that are in front of them in order for them to craft their own educational journey. In our flagship initiatives that we have in our office in Qatar Foundation, we have some. I mentioned to you about the Universal Skills Passport. This is a very good example of things that can be done in order for the students to do those type of things. Another one which is fascinating is Next Gen Ed, which is aimed at complementing the typical general education program that a student has. You were students in the higher education system in the U.S. You were exposed to the general education program, but we know that there are many things in the Gen Ed that are not being covered. The typical thing, and I'm sure that you are aware of, is that there is no single university in any place in the world that will tell you how wonderful are their graduates. And they can give you a long list of, our graduates are the best in X, Y, and Z. They are critical thinkers, decision makers, blah, blah, blah. All of those things is very common for universities in the world to claim. But there is very limited evidence that students really acquire those competencies. And also, universities usually they have no way to demonstrate that. Sometimes I kind of joke by saying that the assumption is that students will learn that by osmosis because there is not a course on critical thinking or decision making or anything like that. So here at Qatar Foundation, we try to do that. We try to certify those competencies in our students as part of this Universal Skills Passport initiative that I mentioned to you. And this is something that, again, we make of this space space very, very, very unique. And like that, the Path for You is an initiative that is aimed at making sure that students know that when they come here, again, they are students of one university, but at the same time, they are students of 8 universities at the same time, and that they have the freedom, of course, within the boundaries of the discipline of the academic program, to shop around, if you want, between the different universities. Students also, another thing that we make them aware from the beginning, is that they will have the opportunity to spend at least one semester abroad. And also we make them aware of the fact that between the universities that usually compete each other in the United States, here those universities collaborate in order to compete. So universities have created a number of opportunities for students. A minor in, energy policy, for instance, that brings together programs from Georgetown University and Texas A&M. Or a minor in Africana Studies that brings together students from Northwestern University and Georgetown University. Again, trying to take advantage of the fact that we have great faculty members and that students can create their own package of education that is going to equip them better for the complexities and their priorities of the future. So, do we achieve that goal? Well, I can claim we do, but of course there is too much that needs to be done in order to make sure that the students also enjoy that in that part of their educational experience. When we conduct the surveys of alumni, asking them what they value more of the educational experience they had when they were living in Education City, they mention constantly about this opportunity to connect and to do work in different universities, the opportunity to meet students from many different backgrounds, the opportunity to create, friendships and relationships that are going to be staying for life, that are part of this very unique laboratory, if you want, of global society that is Education City.
Yeah. That sounds like, again, a really unique type of environment. And that was all really insightful, hopefully, for our listeners to understand a bit more about what it's like at Education City. And a sort of related question I have, and we've touched on this a little bit, but there's a lot of international students attending the multiversity in Education City.
Yeah.
Are there any, we know there's a lot of benefits for them, but are there any special requirements for them to be accepted into this environment or to have the opportunity to attend Education City?
The only requisite is for them to be accepted by the universities. So the same process that applied when you join your respective universities, that you have to go through a process, you have to put together your portfolio, your recommendations from your faculty members in high school, etc. The same as it is in the United States is the same that is applied here by the universities. With an exception of one university, all of them use the common application system, which is again exactly the same as in the United States, and that is the only requisite. I would say there is an additional one, which is not a requisite, but is a recommendation. The requisite is for you to apply and to be admitted by the university. The second, which is again not a requisite but a recommendation, is for students to be prepared to enjoy as much as they can the unique opportunity to be part of this very unique, people might think weird, ecosystem that is Education City. Because truly I see that the ones who listen to that recommendation, they truly enjoy that educational experience.
That's all absolutely incredible. Now, the time has come for our big question. We ask every single one of our guests these questions, and I would love to hear the answer before I scurry off to figure out how I can get into Education City. So, we are curious, what is something that you are curious about? Something that you think about often? This can be inside and outside of your field, just what possibly keeps you up at night.
Something that I'm very curious at is how all these technological changes that we are experiencing in the world are going to be truly affecting the shape of higher education in the future. And why I'm very curious about that, because this is something that I have been thinking all my life, I can tell you. Since I was a university student, I was one of those students that I was very curious about everything and very confused about what I wanted to do. Very confused about what major to study in my university in Mexico. Back in those years, fortunately or unfortunately, there were only 12 academic programs in my university. So my range of options was relatively limited at the difference of what it is today. But even with that very small number of options, I was completely confused about what I wanted to study. One day I wanted to be a lawyer, the day after I wanted to be a geographer, and then I wanted to be an engineer. So it was complicated. At the end, I decided to study agriculture economics, which, as you can see, is a little bit different to what I do today. Do I feel that I failed when I was studying agriculture? For sure not. I think that it helped me to understand an area or a scope of the world that equipped me to be that type of adaptable individual that I want to be in the future. And I mention this because about 25 years ago, Peter Drucker said that universities were going to disappear, that universities no longer were prepared to deal with the challenges of the future, were no longer equipped to become, the repositories of knowledge and all of those things. And I wonder every day, was Peter Drucker wrong or he was right? And I said, yeah, he was wrong because universities still are there. He was wrong because he was right because he was making the point that universities need to change, need to adapt to new realities of today and of tomorrow. And so I'm very intrigued on how much those technological shifts that are being experienced in the world are really going to cause a significant transformation in higher education in the future. And what it keeps me awake is a little bit of a sense of desperation that probably globally we don't pay too much attention to that. We believe that no worries, universities will be there, business as usual. Who cares about those things? Universities will continue being the place that people may want to go to study. And I think that we need to wake up. And I think we need to do more things in a more aggressive way, and that we need to make sure that universities will continue being a place, not necessarily physical, but a place where students of today, citizens of tomorrow, will have the best understanding of the world that will prepare them to a future that nobody can predict how it will be, but that all of us agree that it will be very different to what it is today. So this is my curiosity and my concern.
Well, I'll admit that now I'm curious about that too. We've talked about so much today that's got me thinking about a lot that I never even really considered. So thank you for that, Francisco. Thanks for the insights. Thanks for the conversation. It's been wonderful hearing from you and learning more about the processes and what goes on at Education City and a little bit of the work that you're doing with the Qatar Foundation. Thanks again.
Well, thank you very much for your invitation. You were mentioning about what students can do if they are interested in. Well, they can just go to the website of Qatar Foundation, qf.org.qa, and they will find all the information of what I was telling you before. And again, thank you very much for the time.
That's good to know, and we hope that they check it out, and we encourage everybody to. So thank you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you,
Thank you
Audrey.
so
Thank you,
much.
McKinsey. It has been great.